Can you talk a little bit real quick about some of the direct impact that you've seen the Y make in the community of South Florida?
I can't really highlight one particular moment or what have you, but I do know that, not only is it a safe haven, but you have individuals that have created a structured environment, and the Y has created this culture that has allowed young people to grow and develop, and not just the young people, but their families as well, to have resources there for them as well, So I think the beauty of it all is that, the Y has been a beacon of hope for so many communities for over a century, and it's phenomenal work that they do.
I can certainly see how that's in line with the way you are looked at in our community of South Florida here.
Thank you. I appreciate
looked
that.
at as the warrior, persevering, through so much in your career.
I appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
I'm fortunate enough to have the ability to identify the best doctors in the world. And I found Dr. Gerald Appel at Columbia Presbyterian Hospital. So my local nephrologist gave me that information. And then I speak to Dr. Gerald Appel, and he tells me, like, hey, we're going to try to treat this orally and slow the progression of the disease down, because the type of kidney disease that I had was a fast deteriorating of the glomeruli, which are in the kidney disease. So it was very rapid deteriorating disease. So he wanted to slow the progression of the disease down with oral medications. And so it's amazing how you have one doctor to give you one perspective, you get another doctor to tell you that, okay, it's over, you need a transplant, what have you. I didn't need a transplant until 3 years later. So hence the word medical practitioner. They're not perfect, they practice medicine. So each doctor is going to give you an educated guess based on his hypothesis. And so that's why I always recommend that y'all go, if you can, get a second, maybe even a third opinion before you come to a conclusion about your health. Because if I would have been just stuck with, okay, you're going to be on dialysis, and then within 10 months, I was never on dialysis, and I didn't need my transplant until 3 years later. I was fortunate enough to receive a kidney from my second cousin, Jason Cooper. I have a huge family. My mom has 5 brothers and 5 sisters. My dad has 2 sisters, so I had a lot of options. I have a ton of cousins and what have you. I even got some letters from some individuals that were incarcerated to donate their kidney at that particular time. Only if I got them pardoned. So it was quite common. It's amazing how it all came about, though, and I don't want to elaborate too much on that. We have some more questions, but it's interesting how it all came about, So at that particular time, my grandmother was battling cancer on my father's side, and Jason Cooper, who was my second cousin, I hadn't seen him in over 30 years. Last time I saw him was when we were little. And my grandmother is his aunt. So he lives up in New York, and at that particular time I was playing for the New Jersey Nets. And he drove from New York to Virginia to visit his aunt, which was my grandmother, in the hospital. My father was in the hospital in Virginia. And they were praying at my grandmother's bedside. And on the TV in the hospital room, it flashed across the screen, I was the one going to need kidney transplant, what have you. And so he looked at my father and he said, listen, Alonzo doesn't know I live in New York. We haven't seen each other in years. But tell him if he needs me, I'm there. Shortly after that, my grandmother died. And out of all the individuals that came in to be tested, to be a donor for me, they chose Jason Cooper. So it's amazing how my grandmother's death brought me life. So Jason and I are the closest we've ever been. The transplant went extremely well back in 2003. It took me about a year to really get my strength back and what have you, get back on my feet. And then shortly after that, we went championship in '98.
I have to imagine that that championship, obviously, it was sweet for you to win that ring, but especially after what you came back from, when you were celebrating, was that in the back of your mind?
You know, it was always in my mind because once I realized that I was not just playing for myself, because going through this particular scenario was an educational process for me, simply because I knew the statistics of kidney disease. You got over 20 million Americans who suffer from kidney disease, and you have another 20 million who are at risk. So you got to think about that. Diabetes and hypertension are derivatives, or they're silent killers. They're derivatives of kidney disease, which is why when I go and speak, I always recommend that people go out and get a regular checkup. Don't be afraid of the doctor. Doctors are your friends. Trust me. All right. None of us have a magic wand or a crystal ball. We need assistance to find out what's going on in our body. You know, some of us are walking around today with high blood pressure, don't even know it, or diabetes or hypertension, we don't even know it. Some of you all in this room haven't even been to the doctor in years. You know, and we only go to the doctor until something severely is wrong with us. And then a lot of times it's too late. So go once a year, at least once a year, get a checkup. I go twice a year, but go once a year. So through, you know, this whole process, and it's another thing that I recommend when you're dealing with any type of physical obstacle, educate yourself as much as you can. Now we all have, there's no more encyclopedias. I had all the encyclopedias you have. You know, we all had all the older people had encyclopedias. But now it's just a push of a button, and we can gather all the information that we want. You know, you can educate yourself right in the palm of your hand. So you can learn just as much as the doctors know. So that's what I did. You know, I was scared. I truly was. You know, I had never dealt with anything. This was foreign to me. I would talk to it every day just to get confidence enough to overcome this. And I thought it was over for me. I did. I thought it was, you know, but the more I educated myself on kidney disease, the more I learned what the doctors knew about different body chemistries and what have you. Then I took a holistic approach and started learning about foods and how to heal the body and what have you. I became more confident in dealing with it. I wasn't afraid anymore. And it's just like, it's no different than going into a classroom. How many of y'all just walked in the classroom when you had a test and didn't study? Raise your hand. Yeah, right. Everybody's hands should go up, right? So, I mean, how did that make you feel? You know, you were scared, you were unsure, you were doubtful, what have you. But when you study, you're a little bit more confident and understand that, hey, I'm gonna pass this test, I can deal with this, you know, and that's no different than your health. Educate yourself on your health, find out what's going on in your